You're watching Photowalks TV.
Greetings from Las Vegas, and I know what you want to do. You want to get a great shot of the skyline without having to pay sky-high prices to go on one of those big attractions. Let me let you in on a dirty little secret. Bring your smartphone up to one of the parking garages. They have them at all the big hotels, and you will get a pretty great shot. There are some good parking garages, some great parking garages, and some ones not so good, worth skipping. I've been to all of them. Let's explore them together on today's episode of Photowalks TV. The first thing you need to know, parking is no longer free at most Vegas casinos. However, some good news for us photographers, most resorts offer 1 hour of free parking, which is more than enough time to drive up and get our shots. But be warned, after 1 hour, rates will kick in big time, as much as $20 or more for the day. Okay, now let's go up the strip and take a look at the roofs. We begin with the Aria, a complex that also includes the Cosmopolitan and Waldorf-Astoria hotels. Now, you can't get a really classic view of the strip here, but you can pick up an interesting shot of the MGM and shops, as well as the backside of the New York Hotel and all those massive new buildings that are part of the complex. Photo tips. I usually shoot everything on the regular wide lens, if I can, for the best shot without distractions. Going to the ultra wide lens usually brings in stuff that you don't want to see, like excess roof and wires. Now, across the street is the Paris, which is interesting. You don't see the strip at all, but instead, you get a fascinating look at the back of the French-themed hotel, where it's clear they put most of their money into the front, with the replica of the Eiffel Tower and the hot air balloon. However, this is a cool structure that looks not like a French building, but one you might expect to see in New York with great detail. Go figure. If you want to see the strip from the Paris, you'll need to pay $25 to go to the top of the tower and struggle to fit your camera lens through the cages up there. But if you time it right, you just might get a good overhead shot of the Bellagio fountain. And speaking of the Bellagio, directly across the street from the Paris is one of the great classic strip views from up on the 8th story of the garage. You get the Eiffel Tower of the Paris, the way you want to see it, plus the hot air balloon, the Ferris wheel of the Link, and the pink of the Flamingo, which was the first hotel on the strip, circa the 1940s. This is one of my 2 favorite garage spots in Las Vegas. By the way, a big wide shot in pano mode does not work here because of the many distractions, but this is a great place to use the telephoto lens and get some interesting close-ups of the buildings. Next door is Caesar's Palace, but the garage is behind the hotel and you can't see much beyond a look at one of the newer Caesar's high-rises. And however disappointing Caesar's is, you will make up for it by going next door to the Mirage roof. Here's where you will get your best classic postcard view of the strip with the Mirage Marquee, the Pink Flamingo, the Eiffel Tower, and Caesar's Palace. Important note, the Mirage was recently purchased by the Hard Rock Hotel, which plans to tear it down and start all over again within the next few years, so enjoy the view while you can. And after the joys of the Mirage and Bellagio, I must admit that the rest of the garages I went to were rather disappointing. The massive Wynn complex can give you an interesting view of its buildings, but nothing of the strip. The new Resorts International mega property lets you take an interesting perspective of the action below, but not much interest above. The Strat has a fantastic strip view on a rooftop deck, but you'll have to pay $30 to catch it. Unfortunately, the garage doesn't have much of a view at all. Ditto for the view downtown from the new Circa, which offers parking in the Garage Mahal, a self-described fancier, better lit experience than most Vegas garages. But look what happens when you try to get to the top. Arg! Another option, and this is a good one, is off the strip at the Virgin Hotel, which, not to confuse you, used to be the Hard Rock. From the garage roof, you've got the best expansive view of the strip from Mandalay Bay up to the Wynn, but there are some distractions below, like apartment buildings and such, so compose the shot accordingly. Because the view is so wide, the inclination is to do a panorama, but if you do so, remember to edit and crop. However, I know one spot that's really fantastic for a pano.
Well, after a long day of going from garage to garage, what better way to end the day than by looking out the window of the 23rd floor of one of those great rooftop bars in Las Vegas here at the Waldorf-Astoria. What a view. Isn't this cool? I'm shooting a time lapse as we're speaking, and I can't wait to get a few more snaps. Thank you for watching this episode of PhotowalksTV. For more information about the garages of Las Vegas, be sure to check out the blog section of our PhotowalksTV.com website. Stay tuned for more episodes of PhotowalksTV. Do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the latest. And you know what? I'll see you on the next Photowalks, everyone. Bye-bye.